Chapter 273, Tang Army, Rank 93, Imperial Tutor, TL by Bagelson. His Majesty Shui Beng ascended the throne after Great Emperor Shui Yi died of illness 3 years ago. He's always ruled wisely in these years, and extremely considerate of our Tang Sect. The current Sect disciple count reaches 2,300 people. Of those, besides the disciples of our 4 clans, everyone are disciples from the Shrek Academy, fully vetted by Grandmaster. With the Empire's support we've produced large quantities of hidden weapons, mainly the Godly Juga crossbow, equipping a 10,000-strong elite army with the Heaven Do Empire. His Majesty Shui Beng personally named this troop the Tang Army. Father is temporarily in command on this campaign, waiting for you to take up the post. Tang Yuo briefly clarified the points Tang San was most worried about. Listening to him, Tang San nodded. It seems Shui Beng's patience over the years wasn't wasted. He understands the true meaning of not using people you doubt, and not doubting the people you use. Very well. Then, Uncle Tang Yuo, I'll write a letter. Immediately have a speed hall disciple deliver it to the village at the Clear Sky School. Even if there are 1,000 spirit masters guarding the Imperial capital, that's still too weak. If we gain the upper hand at the front lines, the Spirit Empire might very possibly send elite spirit master teams to cause trouble here. With the Clear Sky School defending the capital, there is nothing to worry about on that account. Sect Master, the Clear Sky School. When Tang Yuo heard the Clear Sky School mentioned, the pupils of his eyes clearly contracted a bit. Tang San spoke in a deep voice. The Tang Sect is the Tang Sect. The Clear Sky School is the Clear Sky School. Never shall they intermingle. Right now our common enemy is the Spirit Empire. It's not the time for looking into old grudges. The Clear Sky School has now decided to leave the mountain, leaving them to guard the capital of its worries in the rear. At the same time it also avoids awkwardness when the Clear Sky School and the Hall Masters meet. Yes. Tang Yuo respectfully accepted the order, seeing Tang San again, even though it didn't seem like Tang San had changed much, only steadier than before. But his eyes radiated an indescribably dignity. Each word was filled with a bearing instilling trust. His movements were not only graceful, but even held a special leaderly elegance. Even the 7 treasure glazed tar schoolmaster Ning Fungi he had met before had seemed to have Tang San's characteristics. Tang Yuo of course had no idea that Tang San's characteristics largely originated in the transformation of the sea god's light. As the sea god's chosen, how could he be like ordinary people? Very soon, Tang San penned a letter in front of the Tang Sect gate, handing it to Tang Yuo. With the speed of the speed hall disciples, the news would reach the Clear Sky School within half a day. There would be absolutely no delays. At the same time he also wrote an additional letter, also handing it to Tang Yuo, repeatedly reminding him to deliver it to the Moon Pavilion. With his aunt's referral in his letter, there wouldn't be a problem for the Clear Sky School to garrison in the Imperial Palace. No matter how it was said, back then he seemed to also have accepted the position as the Crown Prince's tutor, so his words should still hold some authority. Now that the Heaven Do Empire urgently needed elite spirit masters, there was even less of a reason to refuse. Xiao Wu, I'll trouble you. We still have to keep traveling. Our wedding also. Tang San looked tenderly at Xiao Wu, his eyes filled with regret. Xiao Wu smiled sweetly, holding Tang San's hand. What are you saying? We've been through so many storms. What's a bit of waiting? Major events are important. Spirit Hall is also the enemy that killed my mother. Destroying them is my wish too. Let's go. Tang San and Xiao Wu took their leave from Tang Yuo and swiftly left Heaven Do City. Tang San then pulled Xiao Wu close and flew off, heading directly southward. By Tang San's calculations, even if the army had been on its way for 10 days already, with his speed he should be able to converge with it before they reached the front line. There was no need to ask. The Shrek 7 devils would also all be with the army. He just hadn't expected he would be going to war with the Spirit Empire so soon. Even though he still hadn't mentally prepared, he was still thirsting for this battle. 5 years had passed. Tang San very much wanted to know to what level the Tang Sect he had personally founded had advanced. 2,300 spirit masters. Even though it sounded like a lot, it was still too flimsy when compared to Spirit Halls more than 50,000. But the key to whether the Spirit Empire could be defeated in this battle might very well be the Tang army that Shui Beng had established. It was also the first time the Tang Sect's hidden weapons would climb onto the stage of history. Without a doubt, the Heaven Do and Douluo empires would go all out in this campaign. This might also be the final battle with the Spirit Empire. If they lost this war and the Spirit Empire could eliminate the elites of the 2 empires, then the 2 empires would never be able to turn it around, and their destruction would only be a matter of time. If they could weaken the Spirit Empire's strength before they had fully stabilized, then there was great hope for the future. Spirit Empire capital, Spirit City, Supreme Pontiff Palace. What? A Nirvana team was destroyed. More than 500 spirit masters lost in 5 cities. Bibi Dong had just returned when she got the infuriating news. Standing in front of her was Hulina with a guilty and uneasy expression. Her clothes fluttered without wind, and if anyone else had stood in front of her, with her temper, she might have already killed them. But Hulina was different. In Bibi Dong's heart, Hulina was not just her personal disciple, but more like her daughter. Even though Chen Ringxu was her biological daughter, in fact, Chen Ringxu was less important to her than Hulina. She had spent far too much painstaking effort on Hulina. The bad news came one after another. Before she was back at the Supreme Pontiff Palace, Bibi Dong had already learned that the 2 great empires had revealed large-scale military operations targeting the Spirit Empire in a pincer attack. Their armies pressuring the borders. Fine, very well. It seems the Heaven Do and Douluo empires have come prepared. They want to strike before my fleeing is stable. Fine. I'd like to see how you will face my Spirit Legion. Nana, pass on my orders. Gather the 7 sect masters and all Imperial Spirit masters with bishop or higher titles to discuss it. Since they want to end it in one stroke, I will help them accomplish it. Yes, teacher. In the whole Spirit Empire. Only Hulina didn't have to address Bibi Dong as Her Majesty. Seeing that her teacher didn't intend to blame her, Hulina heaved a secret sigh of relief. She of course knew her teacher was good to her, but the more that was the case, the more pain she felt. In the depths of her heart, the silhouette of that man whose place wasn't lower than her teacher's still lingered, as if branded on her soul, and she couldn't throw it off no matter how. Since both sides will go to war, Tang San, will you appear on the battlefield? If we come across each other there, what should I do? Why, must the 2 people I care most about have to meet on the battlefield? While thinking to herself, Hulina was about to go pass on the orders, when she was called back by Bibi Dong. Shiyu, you and Yen go pass on the orders. Nana, stay here. I have something to tell you. Yes, Your Majesty. Shi Yue and Yen glanced at each other. They were both helpless. They understood that their places in Bibi Dong's heart couldn't ever possibly match up to the holy maiden Hulina. As only Bibi Dong and Hulina remained in the room, the ice-cold lines on Bibi Dong's face gradually gentled, pointing to the seat next to her. She had Hulina sit. Teacher, I've disappointed you. Hulina hung her head. Bibi Dong sighed. Never mind. A few hundred dead spirit masters isn't serious harm. This was definitely done deliberately by the Heaven Do Empire to disrupt our morale, but it's not that easy. This war would begin sooner or later, and even though we still haven't yet caught our balance, on the battlefield the spirit master strength to truly dominate the 2 great empires is firmly in our hands. As long as we act appropriately and show its true effect on the battlefield, Heaven Do and Douluo basically won't be able to stir any wind or waves. In times of defeat, don't let one setback influence your confidence. Speaking of, this time my face landed too. Ah. Teacher, you. Hulina looked shocked at Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong said grimly. At first everything was going smoothly. The Titan Giant Ape and Sky Blue Bull Python were already at their last gasp. Just then we were attacked by a cloaked fellow armed with a strange trident, ruining my happy occasion. If I guess correctly, that person should be the now 5 years missing Tang San. What? Hulina swayed, almost falling off her chair, her red lips trembling uncontrollably. 3 days later. Distantly, Tang San and Xiao Wu finally saw that army covering the land. Even though they overlooked it from the sky, the shock of the million-strong army still made them a bit lifeless. The number of people assembled seemed limitless, raised flags fluttering, all in perfect order, advancing over the plains in units of 10,000. It was like a vast river of steel. Heavy cavalry with horses clad in thick armor was at the head of the army, while strong soldiers formed the heavy infantry legions on either side. In the center was the largest quantity of infantry. At least 6 light cavalry legions moved back and forth outside the army, responsible for screening and scouting, surrounding and protecting the center. They all advanced majestically. In the rear of the army was an enormous provisions unit. As they say, the troops move where fodder and provisions go. Just the numbers of this logistical army surpassed 500,000. moving an uninterrupted flow of supplies. This still wasn't including the logistics troops within the main army. By rough speculation, Tang San understood that this time the Heaven Do Empire was using its standing army, its real logistics, as well as prepared conscription. Their total sum might reach 2 million. It was absolutely their full national strength. At the same time, this was the largest army the empire could support. Years of saved-up strength was undoubtedly manifested as the empire's national strength here. In fact, the resources consumed by an army of 2 million each day reached astronomical figures. To be able to equip such an army, the strength of the Heaven Do Empire was obvious, worthy of being a great empire that had towered over the continent for so many years. From the circumstances of the Heaven Do Imperial army, one could also imagine the Douluo Empire's side. The Douluo Empire might not be equal to the Heaven Do Empire in terms of spirit master numbers, but their army would absolutely be larger than the Heaven Do Empire's. The Douluo Empire was governed under a philosophy of iron and blood that could be seen in Dai Mubai and Zhu Zulking's experiences. How could the military strength of such a nation be lacking? Even though spirit masters were formidable, spirit masters below the spirit sage level were still restricted by physical strength and spirit power. When facing such an army, if the numbers reached a certain proportion, then even spirit masters might not dare charge the Steel River. Without a doubt, the Heaven Do and Douluo empires would use their national strength to pull close the gap in spirit master numbers. The Douluo Continent hadn't seen war for many years now, even less experienced a conflict such as one with the spirit empire's spirit master legions. Nobody could tell what the outcome of the battlefield would be, but the Heaven Do and Douluo empires undoubtedly chose the best timing. Just while Tang San was pondering, suddenly, his mental power reacted. Turning his gaze forward, an illusory figure had appeared in his line of sight in just the blink of an eye, wings slightly trembling, directly targeting Tang San Xiaowi's position. A sharp bird cry instantly rising, charging at the skies. Seeing this figure as well as his reaction, Tang San couldn't help smiling wryly. Does this count as moving a stone only to smash my own foot? Even before our Tang Sect Speed Hall Scout disciples can show their worth in battle, they've started by catching their sect master. Xiaowi burst into giggles. This proves how elite the Tang Sect disciples are. Besides Speed Hall disciples with the needle-tailed swift spirit, what spirit masters could have such speed and react so quickly in the air? That Speed Hall disciple didn't approach either, only circling Tang San Xiao at 300 meters. Spirit master abilities basically couldn't cover such a distance. He was clearly very confident in his speed, and basically unconcerned with the possibility of Tang San and Xiaowi chasing him. In just a few breaths of time, several dozen figures suddenly flew up from the center of the Heaven Do Imperial army and headed in this direction. They were all flying-type spirit masters. After flying up, they immediately formed a semi-circular formation, vaguely surrounding Tang San and Xiaowi's position. They not only cooperated cleverly, but even more didn't make any unnecessary noise, their formation extremely orderly. That Speed Hall disciple saw that his mission was already complete, and suddenly accelerated, flying into the distance. From start to finish, he hadn't exchanged any words. Very soon, Tang San and Xiaowi were surrounded by those dozens of flying spirit masters. Flashing spirit rings appeared around them, each and every one trembling with excitement. Even the lowest ranked were 4-ring spirit ancestors, and the strongest one already had 6 rings of strength. Tie your hands and wait to be deployed. The several dozen flying spirit masters shouted in chorus, their voices adjusted and uniform. Along with their shouts, their imposing manner also instantly rose, pressing down on Tang San and Xiaowi. Xiaowi giggled. You're not even asking who we are before having us captured? That 60th ranked spirit emperor spoke bravely. Whoever you are, spirit masters spying on our army will all be captured first. Follow us down. Xiaowi's easygoing manner made him a bit restless. Even though they had the numerical advantage, that didn't matter if they encountered a true power. This spirit emperor was already prepared to call for reinforcements. Of course, he still absolutely wouldn't cower back. With an army of millions as well as 6,000 spirit masters behind him, he didn't believe these two would dare do anything. Tang San raised his cowl, smiling slightly. I am the Tang Sect Master Tang San. I've come to join the army. Please bring me to see Grand Master or the people of the Tang Sect. You're the Tang Sect Master. That spirit emperor was more than 50 years old. Looking at Tang San, his eyes were filled with disbelief. The Tang Sect disciples number more than 2,000. How would their sect master be as young as you? Even if you're going to lie, at least make it believable. Less nonsense. First tie your hands and wait to be captured, or don't blame us for being rude. Tang San shook his head and sighed softly. He wasn't willing to delay here longer. The light in his eyes suddenly became pure. A halo of light even deeper blue than the sky instantly enveloped the surrounding spirit masters. The flying spirit masters only felt their bodies tighten and immediately lost control of themselves, let alone using spirit abilities. They weren't even able to open their mouths to speak. After easily restraining these spirit masters, Tang San erupted with a long howl, the surging clamor charging straight at the heavens. The deep and resounding sonorous howl traveled far into the distance, spreading out just like the endless army on the ground. This long howl actually spread to each person below and every corner. The voice also didn't fade as it passed, but instead grew louder and louder. That surging clamor was like raging waves lashing the shore, striking the millions of soldiers below. With a tearing sound, Tang San felt his spirit power abruptly surge, his howl instantly becoming a bit more resounding. He couldn't help being surprised as he discovered his spirit power that had already been stuck at a bottleneck for some time had broken through, reaching rank 93. Tang San's spirit power had reached the peak of rank 92 as early as when he absorbed those 50,000-year spirit rings. Close to rank 93, it had just never broken through. But recently he had first challenged the 5 Clear Sky School elders, erupting with his full strength under enormous pressure, and then while close to overdrawn helped his father connect his 8 extraordinary meridians. These 2 experiences were undoubtedly enormous help in attacking the rank 93 bottleneck, due to his spirit power rising too quickly these last few years. After Tang San left the Seagull Island, his cultivation had mainly focused on conservation, as much as possible stabilizing what he had gained, and so didn't recklessly go attacking the 93rd rank. Now it was unexpectedly this long howl that drew out his spirit power, channels forming where the water flowed, successfully raising his level. Just at this moment, a few long howls simultaneously echoed from the army, the most resonant of them filled with infinite sharpness that seemed like it would cut Tang San's howl in half. Charging at the sky, a seemingly piercing enormous blue sword energy rose high in the sky almost instantly. That sword energy seemed to connect heaven and earth, and along with a clear and melodious cry, it shot straight for Tang San. Tang San laughed out loud, flicking his wrist. The sea god trident's cover burst like a cloud of butterflies, fluttering away. With a wave of his arm, those spirit masters awed by his mental strength were flung behind him. The long pole arm swung out, dark light firmly shocking that enormous blue sword energy. With a resounding explosion, the sea god trident erupted with a dragon cry. The main blade trembled softly, and golden light flowed out like ripples on water. The sea god trident unexpectedly automatically turned golden even without Tang San infusing it with sea god's light. Tang San even felt the golden trident in his hand produce longing. It was blasted by that 108,000 jin weight, but that tremendous sword energy showed how terrifying it was, even awakening the sea god trident's own competitiveness. Blue light rose again, but this time it wasn't an enormous sword shadow, but rather a real figure that soared into the sky along with the blue light. Like a shooting star chasing the moon, it shot straight for Tang San. Tang San held the sea god trident horizontally in one hand towards that azure light. His hand spun the long pole arm one turn, and a golden ring of light instantly left it. At the same time, a ray of sea god's light poured from the brand on his forehead into the sea god's heart. Instantly, the golden trident's golden light flared. Even though that blue light attack was strong, it was still dissolved within that golden ring of light, and the figure flying together with the sword was blocked 10 meters away from Tang San. Tang San guarded his chest with the sea god trident, laughing. Start of leniently senior, or I can't block. That figure was already revealed. Tall, single-armed, holding a long sword that was entirely clear blue, as if carved from crystal. Most peculiar was that this sword had 9 stars, in succession colored yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Even Tang San had no choice but to use the golden 13 halberds on fixed storm defense to block this sudden attack. to block this sudden attack. Who was this but the 7 treasure glazed Tile School's elder, with spirit power at a frightening rank 97, with the hailed as #1 attack spirit, Sword Douluo Chen. That bizarre sword in his hand was his spirit, the 7 kill sword. Having reached rank 97, he already possessed the ability to command his sword to fly, and so could fly into the sky to attack the enemy. Sword Douluo looked at Tang San and was also shocked. Tang San's howl just now had shocked the entire army, and especially the spirit masters even more deeply sensed that terrifying pressure. Even an exceptional power like Sword Douluo Chen had also felt his mental strength unexpectedly be completely suppressed. What kind of idea was this? Could the Spirit Empire's high priest have come over? Consequently, Sword Douluo hadn't hesitated to strike with his full strength. While still on the ground, he had already launched an attack targeting Tang San in the air, for fear that Tang San would launch some large-scale attack on the army. In fact, if there really was a rank 99 title Douluo here, their large-scale attack would absolutely have devastating consequences. The war still hadn't started. The Heaven Do Imperial army couldn't take such losses. But as Chen saw Tang San, the vigilance and pressure he felt instantly disappeared, replaced by extreme shock. He had never expected a person who could easily dissolve 2 of his all-out attacks to actually be Tang San. Of course, Tang San didn't have an easy time of dissolving Chen Xing's attacks, mainly relying on the Sea God Trident. The Sea God Trident was a true divine weapon. It possessed a restraining effect on tool spirit forms. A blunt instrument like the Clear Sky Hammer was a bit better off, but a sharp weapon like this 7 kill sword was flatly restrained. After so many days of testing, Tang San was growing more and more familiar with the uses of the Sea God Trident. Previously, Tang San had first completely sheltered his and Xiao Wu's auras behind the Sea God Trident before relying on the 108,000 Jin divine tool to block Sword Douluo's attack. Even so, Tang San still felt unwell, constantly circulating the mysterious heaven seal to dissolve the 7 kill sword's energy. As for Sword Douluo's second attack, even though it was man and sword united, it still met Tay Sea God's divine skill. Being dissolved was just common sense. Tang San, it's you. Sword Douluo's eyes opened wide, fearing he was hallucinating. Not long ago, the return of the Shrek 5 devils to Heaven Do City had already enormously shocked the Heaven Do Empire's Spirit Master world. In 5 years, the originally just 60-something ranked 5 people had all already broken through the Spirit Douluo level. What kind of idea was this? In fact, the current Spirit Masters of the Heaven Do Empire was mainly made up of the Shrek Academy, 4 Elements Academy, Tang Sect, 7 Treasure Glaze Tile School as well as the Imperial family Spirit Masters. Their total numbers just barely reaching 10,000. But when accounting for manning every city as well as other necessary arrangements, only 6,000 could be summoned to the front lines. And among these, besides the Heaven Do Imperial family Spirit Masters who were fully familiar with the Shrek 7 devils, the 5 devils' return had given them such an enormous shock that they were already hailing them as unsurpassable geniuses of 1,000 years. But those 5 people who had shocked the entire Heaven Do Spirit Master world were a full level below their front figure Tang San. No matter what Tang San did, if he hadn't reached the title Douluo level, how could he block his rank 97 strength attack? He really already was a title Douluo? No wonder the Shrek 5 devils only smiled without saying anything when asked about Tang San. This key figure of the Shrek 7 devils had actually already reached such a level. At this moment, more than 10 spirit masters flew up closely behind Sword Douluo. Tang San looked them over and instantly smiled. He knew most of these flying spirit masters. There was spirit avatar form 4-eyed Owl Flender and Lu Erlong. Using flying mushroom sausages were Dai Mubai, Oscar, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuking, Mahongjin unfolding his phoenix wings. Besides them, the remainder were all at least spirit Douluo level spirit masters. Little San, you came so quickly. Everyone couldn't help being overjoyed at seeing Tang San. Dai Mubai laughed. By that sound, you've advanced again. Flender laughed. I took it for an enemy attack, so it was you brats coming. Good, you 7 little monsters are assembled again. Tang San and Xiao we both defended together. Tang San said sternly, this time, we are truly assembled. The 5 devils looked at each other, their gazes in an instant focusing on Xiao Wu. Ning Rongrong covered her mouth, her tears immediately reddening. Zhu Zuking said breathlessly, third brother, you did it. Xiao Wu is. Lu Erlong was already dashing forward like a flame, turning into her human form, a pair of fire dragon wings on her back, flying straight up to Tang San and Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, my daughter, it's been hard on you. Pulling Xiao Wu out of Tang San's arms with one move, she held her in a tight embrace. She and Grandmaster had no children, and after taking Xiao Wu as her adopted daughter, she had regarded her as her own. After she had heard what had happened to Xiao Wu and Tang San, she had suffered extremely. Now seeing Xiao Wu again, how could she not be excited? The flying spirit masters that had been awed by Tang San's mental strength were now already released. Seeing so many powers surrounding Tang San's pair and treating them like family, they understood that this person whose eyes could make them lose the ability to move was actually on their side. The Shrek 5 devils gathered up, and Dai Mubai gripped Tang San's shoulders. Let's go. We'll talk down below. This flying mushroom sausage doesn't last too long. Little San, I really didn't expect you to succeed too quickly. Tang San smiled wryly. Even though I succeeded, it was still at too high a price. Let's go. We'll land first. Guided by everyone, Tang San followed them into the army. He then learned that the Spirit Master troop was at the heart of the army, directly surrounding and protecting the center, guarding the new Heaven Do Imperial Monarch Shuibang. Tang San's arrival immediately caused an enormous sensation. As everyone landed, Tang San's gaze subconsciously looked for Grandmaster, but never saw a trace of him. Flender smiled. Looking for Grandmaster? The times are different, and Grandmaster isn't the Grandmaster from before. Besides your subordinate Tang army, this time he's the commander of all Spirit Masters. His Majesty conferred him as King Landian, 1, Chief Spirit Master of the Court, the regimental commander of the Heaven Do Spirit Master Regiment. In the Imperial Court, he is ranked 2nd. Tang San stared blankly. Ranked 2nd? Rank 2nd. Then who's first? Flender gave him a meaningful look. Do you still remember the title the Heaven Do Imperial family gave you before you left? Tang San scratched his head. It was something like tutor to the Crown Prince? Flender said unhappily. You brat really treats rank as dung. Not just tutor to the Crown Prince, but King Lanhao. And the Crown Prince from then has already become the present regent. As tutor to the Crown Prince, you have also become the Imperial tutor. That rank is just above Xiaogang. Besides you, who else? What? Me? Tang San looked dumbstruck at Flender, for a moment unable to conceal his shock. He had never expected that, after returning from a 5-year journey, he had actually become the Heaven Do Empire's Imperial tutor, placed above hundreds of millions of people. On the other side, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zuking and Lu Erlong were already crying in a group. Xiao Wu was just telling everyone about her resurrection. Dai Mubai, Oscar and Mahongjin gathered around Tang San, Oscar grinning. Little San, this time we've also been infected by your glory. Just as we returned, His Majesty conferred us as Imperial dukes. Of course, for now it's the unlanded kind. Tang San asked Dai Mubai, boss, you too? Dai Mubai smiled. I've severed relations with my family. Why wouldn't I accept it? Anyway, I'm not planning on returning to Douluo. That side is all iron and blood. It's better being together with you all. Dukedom or not doesn't matter. As long as we brothers can always be together. What does the rest matter? When the army set off, the Spirit Masters received the best treatment, especially powers like these all rode in special carriages. Right now everyone were down on the ground, chatting while walking, already drowned in a forest of steel. Only, while they spoke, a rest order suddenly passed through the army, and the constantly advancing troops instantly came to a halt. The troops ahead suddenly parted, and 4 old men came walking from outside. The moment they lay eyes on Tang San, they instantly fell to one knee like golden mountains and jade pillars collapsing, speaking loudly. Our respects to the sect master. Don't be so courteous, elders. Tang San hurriedly went to meet them, and with a wave of his hands, a vast spirit power immediately supported all the 4 elders. They were no strangers, but the once clan chiefs of the 4 single attribute clans, now the 4 great hallmasters of the Tang Sect. Strength Hallmaster Titan, Speed Hallmaster Bai He, Defense Hallmaster Nuigao, as well as Medicine Hallmaster Yang Wudi. Being easily pulled up by Tang San, the 4 elders couldn't help showing shocked expressions. Only, in their hearts they felt even more joy. Tang San returning at the crucial moment was undoubtedly most advantageous to the Tang Sect. These 4 hallmasters were already somewhat beyond their means when commanding an army, especially on this campaign, where the Tang Sect's full strength had left the nest. Just in case there was an accident, none of them could bear the responsibility. Before the 4 elders could start chatting, just at this moment, a loud voice declared, His Majesty arrives. Everyone who had just speaking quieted down, and the soldiers parted like a tide, surrounded by a crowd of powers, wearing golden helmet, golden armor and a crimson battlegown. The Heaven Do Empire's newly appointed Emperor Emperor Shuibing appeared in front of everyone, taking off his helmet. Shuibing's first act was unexpectedly to bow to Tang San, speaking respectfully. Teacher, 1. King Landian, King Blue Lightning. Just like Tang San, in this case king is a rank of nobility similar to a prince, not an actual ruler.